What's going on, everybody? This is the Apocalypse Project, also known as the TAP. I'm your boy Playbeat, chilling with my partner Rev. We got an in-studio guest. Say what's up. This is my boy Ryan.
Hi there.
What's up, Rev? Get on there, boy.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast again. I'm Sir Rev, and I'm here, ready to introduce somebody into the studio today that we have the pleasure of
meeting. It's been a while.
This is the first time I've actually met him, so I don't really know too much about you.
First impressions are everything.
But no, we started having an interesting discussion before we actually started, and I was like, wait. We need to wait till we start before we talk about this. So what were you watching on your phone?
Oh, I was watching some old cartoon, Billy and Mandy, the Grim Adventures, and what it was about was like this kid was sneaking in the girl's locker, and
Nice.
he's got a crush on her, right? And you could see like
I've
the
been on that
innuendo,
website.
like they had like going on. He's like sucking on lime, showing her what his tongue does and all that.
Oh, damn.
and then like she's like, what the fuck are you doing in my locker? Can I swear?
Yeah,
go ahead.
Okay, good. I didn't know if like this is gonna be PG-13. It's like,
No.
oh, we just lost our endorsement.
Yeah, we lost our one listener.
Oh, he said the F word. That's
Oh,
going
my
against
goodness.
Jesus. No. So, but like you kind of like realize in like the cartoons like in the 90s, and like that's when like it started turning from cartoons for kids like
Yeah.
Scooby Doo and all that.
Well, that's exactly
Right.
when you rewind the tape back. It's like a lot of people point to like The Simpsons. Oh,
The tape.
that's
You're not dating yourself.
whatever. when you go back, The Simpsons is when like the first primetime adult centered cartoon had started.
Yeah.
And I don't remember like how far back or if that's actually true, because I remember being a little kid and there was like Ren and Stimpy, but I think that was after, unless I'm wrong.
No, Ren and Stimpy came after.
Was it after?
Yeah, like Simpsons has been around since like
I remember when
89.
I watched the
Like,
first
it's
episode
just
when it
89.
aired.
yeah, 89. That's far.
Yeah, but I remember those kind of, because there was The Simpsons, there was that show called The Critic, and then Family Guy, and then all these cartoons started. Well,
Yeah,
Family Guy. How many times has Family Guy been canceled and restarted?
Well, I don't know, but if you really think back to when we were kids, the cartoons back then were adult, not themed, but they had a lot of adult humor.
No, I will
in them.
tell you this: like when the cartoons that we enjoyed as kids, you try to watch them today, you can't.
like Speedy
Yeah,
Gonzales and all
no,
those. other ones?
No. Looney Tunes is on a completely
Yeah,
different
Looney
level.
Tunes is my
no,
shit,
Those
man.
are rewatchable. I'm talking about
Yeah.
like cartoons from the '80s where they were cartoons specifically made. They were basically commercials. They were only made to sell toys. Transformers, G.I. Joes, Ninja Turtles,
He-Man.
He-Man,
The
yeah.
only reasons why those cartoons existed is because they wanted to sell toys. The
Right.
toys came first, then the store, or no, not in the case of Ninja Turtles, actually. I think Ninja Turtles is the reverse. The comic book started in '84. It gained so much popularity that Playmates wanted to make a toy for it, but
Playmates.
that was the name of the toy
Yeah,
company.
right.
Yeah.
They're still around,
Mhm.
but they wanted to make the toys for Ninja Turtles, but they wouldn't do it unless they had a cartoon to go
to
with
back it up.
Yeah, to go with it.
Oh,
so
wow.
basically, every child's cartoon in the '80s was all basically commercials for the toys. So, but try to rewatch those cartoons. I don't think they're rewatchable. There was a cartoon that I came across that actually I didn't realize existed. It was called Brave Star. Have you ever heard of that one?
It sounds vaguely
I
familiar.
have to
It was,
Actually.
it was on. I think it was a Hanna
Say it
Barbera
again.
one.
Say it
Yeah,
again with
it
your
was-
NPR voice.
That definitely.
Brave or Brave? No, Brave Star. Brave Star. Well, the premise was it took place in outer space. It was like a
The things that
western.
get me
It was a
excited.
western in outer space. So
Sounds
they were
vaguely familiar.
They were on this planet, and they had the hero was like this Native American Martian who was the sheriff of the town, and there was all these.
the heck?
It's a weird premise,
I don't. None of this sounds familiar to me.
but they were all created to sell toys.
right.
Now, at what point did that shift and cartoons became more than that?
When art, and I want to say when the art and design changed, like when instead of like them putting into like a design where it's like we're gonna like put a plastic, like we're gonna mold this into an actual character, and instead of doing that, they're like, no, let's get wacky with the design, let's get sloppy with it because it's easier to actually draw it out. And then when they came up with that, they're like, yeah, and then we can like have them do like weirder things. And also it just became pushing the envelope on certain things. And also, let's face it, the kids didn't watch these like new cartoons and all that. It was like mostly adults, and that's why
Yeah,
they were so upset
right.
about
But
it
at
because they
one
instantly
point-
got it.
But look at how big pop culture has been in the last 15 years, right?
Mm.
Where more things that in the past would nearly be geared towards children. Like you wouldn't see 20, 30 years ago grown men wearing Spider-Man t-shirts or
SpongeBob.
yes, and it's just like that. There was a big shift. Like when did that become socially acceptable? Not to say that I don't, because I got a collection of action figures myself.
Who doesn't?
Oh,
So-
speaking of action figures, they start to rebel after a while.
Oh God, yeah.
We'll get into that in a minute.
Wait, what?
No, it's
We gotta put. Hey, we'll post a picture or something.
yeah.
so
No.
people do-
So what ended up happening was I'm growing up as a kid. I didn't have like a lot of money, so I didn't get the toys and all that.
Uh-huh.
And so I was reliant on using my own imagination. So what I do
Oh, I
is I get
remember that.
like all like the bread ties. Like
Dude, they're sick,
my,
bro.
My family hated me because I would just like steal the bread ties off the bread and then go like stale and like moldy within like because like it's open now.
Yeah.
And so I'd make like these figures and all that. And I made like samurai, like Vikings, all that stuff. And then like
Dude, they're sick.
creativity
They're
right
sick,
there.
bro.
and
I'll
then-
show you some.
And then I
pictures.
fell out of it. And then about like what 6 years, 4 or 5 years.
That's hood life right there. It's like,
right? No,
Yeah. Let's hear some rappers talk about that.
yeah.
I'm so-
Let's see how hood they really are, bro.
Man, you make a house out of mud and then just like be happy about it,
Well,
and then
and,
rain
you know-
just come and fuck up your shit.
Right, right.
well,
They
that's
gotta-
another thing too. Like, look for instance, like how many times a day do you think children in this modern era actually go outside?
None.
I
None at all.
remember. I can
I-
remember being 10 years old, taking my Hot Wheels
I
out
saw
to the dirt.
I saw
Yeah,
a
right.
2-year-old with an iPad in the store the other day, and it sickened me. It's all like, "Oh, here's your iPad, Jimmy." It's like,
Yeah, stop
What?
crying.
yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
like back in my day, it's like they didn't give
Yeah,
me
neat.
like, yeah, no, like it's like
You want to cry? We'll give you a reason
it's
to
like,
cry.
oh, here's your thing for YouTube, and here's that. No, I had to be bored. Like I didn't have like,
Yeah.
the benefit. I couldn't take a Game Boy half the time because I
Yeah.
didn't have the batteries, or it die at the worst possible moment.
The tape will fall out and the batteries fall out. Remember that?
No, and that there's
Exactly.
some
Yeah,
truth
my
to
fir-
that. So what you're talking about having to make your own toys out of things you find around the house, that's a level of creativity, right? Where has that gone? You figured I think there's virtue and there's value in being bored, because letting your mind wander and having to use your imagination.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't do
So-
that. I am guilty. I don't do that. When I'm at work and I have like an hour or 2 hours to kill, I'll
You're on
pull
your
out my phone.
Yeah,
I'll watch videos. I mean, sometimes I'll watch things that are actually engaging. Like I'll watch maybe their
Porn.
lectures or debates. But sometimes
Porn. Look at Ryan's all
Well,
porn.
Yeah,
That goes without saying.
but the reality is, though, even as adults with all these things at our fingertip, we have the access to information, an unlimited amount of information. But at the same time,
we
are
don't actually use.
we're not
it.
using it.
Yeah, it's like we have something where I can like look up when the first ship ever
Yeah,
made
you have
in like U.S. history, like for like the Navy or something, or like what timber it was made out of and all that, and like all this information is but like really what we're at is like, is my ex still looking at my ass? And we're like flipping through that, or like,
Right.
or
Social
we're
media,
watching like,
oh, man.
yeah, social media is like a double-edged sword on that. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, no, like so like
Well,
when you
how-
have this like access to distraction, your mind doesn't wander. Your mind doesn't challenge itself to come up with something like a joke or like painting
Yeah.
or like doing like the weird stuff I do, like creeping around at night.
Whoa.
Wow.
No. I don't creep around at night. I just like walk. I just walk home from the bar. It's like right like around the corner for me. So it's like everyone's like, "Oh, do you need a ride home?" It's like, "Nah, I've been drunker and I've walked further."
Yeah, right.
Like, but
For
yeah,
real.
no. So like when we have access to like technology now, it's kind of getting to the point where we just we get distracted by little things, but it's not important or something that teaches us something.
Well,
It's
okay.
like a guy getting kicked in the nuts 13 times in a row.
That's
I
funny.
got to watch that.
I gotta watch it again.
But in
gotta
that-
watch that.
But in that time, if you didn't have your phone, what would you do? Like I mean, sure,
Read
you'd
a
be
book
sitting
or
in a
something,
room.
magazine
Yeah,
or
read
But
a book,
not only
magazine.
that though, but and we wanted to talk about this last time, but we didn't get a chance to do it. But social media actually is a replacement for a lot of things in our lives, and I think number one, what it does, it's mood altering, right? I mean, we talked about last week. We had talked about taking this political fast because we had been the news. Social media just feeds the flames. I mean, you read these things and watch news, and it just seems like it's just overwhelming. The whole
It's
Trump
not even
impeachment
just
thing.
that.
There's
it's like the whole people are constantly wanting to be like something or part of something. That's why we have like people are like, oh, I want to like I'm a Democrat, and then you got someone's like, oh,
Yeah,
I'm a Republican, and then
yeah.
like
They just
they're,
go back
and
and
then
forth.
they're gonna go back and forth, and it's just like if you replace like the names like Republican and Democrat and throw like sports teams names in there. I don't know, the 69ers or the
The 69ers.
the invaders from like I don't even know.
Yeah.
Like I don't know sports ball. I'm a nerd.
Apparently.
No, I don't want to just say their names and then
Oh,
so,
you
like
get in
you
trouble.
sue us for royalty.
Yeah,
It's like,
no
what do you
shit.
want? Like
Yeah,
this
what are you
bitch
gonna
over here?
take?
Like,
They're gonna take all your action figures from me. Like,
okay. Well, let's get
give us
back
all
to
your
that.
action
Let's,
figures.
yeah.
let's get back to that. So you
Oh, they started to rebel, bro.
you're a self-professed nerd,
Yeah.
apparently, because that word has changed and shifted dramatically over the years. It was, I remember us growing up, it was a negative. It had
Yeah.
very negative connotations to it. So, but now it's kind of like a positive thing. It's actually the cool thing to be.
I still use it in the negative sense for myself because like I am a nerd. Like I like to stay in if I could. I just play video games, watch TV, read comics. I hate having to go out and be socialized.
Well, but I think in the
civilized.
context of what we remember, they would be somebody that would be,
have glasses, they'd be taped, they'd be like
or
Yeah,
just more
but-
interested. Well, it'd be more interested in, I guess, the good things that you're supposed to.
it was basically like
studying and
yeah,
Oh,
it was,
yeah,
it was
yeah.
basically
intelligent.
like a title to like in a way discriminate against people that were interested in something different, like
Yeah.
calling someone a weirdo. It's
Yeah.
like oh, I like this. It's like oh, weirdo. And it's like, oh, I like comic books and, like this. And, oh, nerd. It's like, it's the same thing. And then people started embracing it. And it's all like, well, I'm a nerd because of this reason. And it's like, well, okay, that makes sense. You're a nerd. And
Well, I think
And
they
then ask
embrace it because they look at their phone and they're like, some nerd invented this. Like the nerds really do rule the world. You know what I mean?
it's
So-
like, yeah, like a nerd. A guy that decided to stay in, read math.
Bill Gates.
Like,
or
do-
watch
do
Star
program-
Wars or
Jobs.
Star Trek, and then they're like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a
Apply-
communicator. Wow. You know?
Yeah, that- well, that's
apply
true.
themselves. And then like while we're running around getting drunk and all
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
we're like, nah, this is
They actually
fun.
did something with their lives.
Yeah,
Who taught
exactly.
you- Who taught you that hate speech?
And no, I'm just saying, like, while some of us go out and have fun and all
but
that.
I think what I'm trying to say, Tolo, is like being a nerd necessarily isn't a negative. I think it's all positive. Like, for instance, it's like I kind of took on that moniker for a while too, because when I played, I had a room dedicated to all my action figures,
right.
and do you remember?
Oh yeah, it was like a museum for Ninja Turtles.
I had a Ninja Turtle museum, and that was no joke.
Oh, I still have like a bunch. I don't know if like they're still at the house.
You want
but,
to
like,
sell them?
Here we go.
I mean, they're old. They're kind of weathered because I played like the hell out of them, so the paint's all fading. But like they're like the small little like action figures like that. There's like God, I can't.
So
remember.
what's your thing?
What's my thing? Like,
Yeah, what's the thing that you nerd out on?
Star Wars. I used to.
I'm sorry.
I know it's so tragic what's happening right now.
Well, what
Yeah, I
do
know.
you think
Since
about
Disney
that?
took over.
Look, Disney doesn't know what the hell they're doing. They got
Granted,
something
yeah.
and they're just kind of grinding it for money. And they gave the, all right, everyone's like, oh, J.J. Abrams is great. J.J. Abrams is a subpar director that uses sun glares and all
Sunflares,
that.
yeah, the glare.
Like if you
Yeah,
look
right.
at The Force Awakens and
Yeah.
you sync it up with like Empire Strikes Back, like or like Revenge of the Jedi and all
Yeah.
that, you see like what were we fighting? A Death Star. But wait,
wait.
it's bigger.
yeah,
Like
and there's a sun flare in the background.
yeah, no, it's like oh wait, what are we going up against? The First Order. Oh, okay. Like, are they like the elite crack team of like Imperials
Yeah,
and all that?
right.
No.
No.
They just ran away into the galaxy and came back more Nazi-ish. Like really, like it's like yeah, we got the vague,
Right.
like assemblage of like Nazis and all that.
Yeah.
that totally
They
makes sense.
must be Republicans.
and then
Trump supporters.
yeah, no. So like you have and then it's all the same thing, like replace Ben Kenobi with Harrison Ford. I'm sorry, Han Solo. The aged mentor that the new prodigy is like
Right.
admiring and all that. Guess what
Well,
happens?
who-
Boom,
who-
dies right
Yeah,
in
well,
front of
who
him.
was the Emperor Palpatine replacement? The
Snoke.
Snoke.
Of all names, Snoke. Like you could I'm not saying go like for the like stars and be like Dread Emperor like Fisto like like or something.
I've been on
No,
that
I mean,
website too.
No, I mean like you could have like gave him a better name. Like his he's apparently
Snoke.
this intense Force user that can manipulate and do
But
all this
yet-
stuff. But yet, his name rhymes with poke. Like,
Okay,
You
well,
go
or
poke 'em.
joke.
I'm going to
Yeah,
slow
right,
down really
joke.
quick. I'm
Go
going to
ahead.
slow down really quick because there's a slight glaze over Playbee's eyes. Do you understand what we're talking about? To it?
I do and I don't. Like, I wasn't a super like Star Wars fan, but I have watched them all. But like,
Have you really? Okay, well, I'll admit I've never
actually, I
watched,
have them all.
I never watched the first three. I never watched the prequels in the 90s. The only thing that I've watched is Rogue One and the Last Jedi.
I mean, you can watch any one of them.
But I've been told
yeah,
I've basically watched all of them.
yeah, right.
yeah, in a way, like everyone's seen.
It's like a
them,
set
or-
of tits. You've seen one, you've seen them all.
Yeah, no, like the thing is, like they go with that, like the heavy, like like hero of a thousand faces premise. Like it's
Yeah.
like hero isn't a hero. Hero discovers he has a destiny. Then he comes across a mentor. Mentor teaches him, but then is tragically killed. Hero
Right.
has to learn new things on its own, build friendships. And then there's the conflict, and then there's like the climactic engagement, and then ending credits.
Yeah.
It's not that hard of writing and all that, but then they're like stripping it down to the point where it's like it's so on the nose with a lot of the stuff that they're trying to get
You
in
could
there.
kind of just, how would you say, like you could see it coming a mile away. Like,
Yeah,
you already
yeah.
know what's going to happen.
Well, no, not even like, yeah, you can see that definitely.
Well, no,
Like,
unless you're watching Rogue One, because you basically already know the end of the story to that.
yeah,
I mean,
Rogue One actually was kind of like a different turn, like in a different story. Like I mean, it still followed the whole like premise. Hero does all these things, and it I don't know. Like it's like, how can I put it? The writing now, they don't care about the writing. They don't care about working a message or if you gotta put a message into a movie or a
Right.
show, you work it in there where the person retains that knowledge and doesn't feel like they just got hit over the nose with a fucking fact.
Yeah, right.
Because that's what really turns people off from all that.
Yeah, it's better when it clicks, when you start figuring
Exactly.
it out.
It's like,
as,
they're
as
like-
the story
they're one-
progresses, you're
yeah.
like, oh wow, okay, cool.
Well,
Yeah, but-
movies with and I get what you mean. I mean, I really feel like that was. I mean, I enjoyed the last two Star Wars films, but I think I enjoyed it more because I wasn't part of that devoted fan base. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was able to disconnect everything that everybody else may have seen and already feel the movie should be, and I just enjoyed it for what it was.
Yeah.
And I think that's the best way to do it. But like, you know what movie I was really pissed about? The two Ninja Turtle movies.
We don't talk about this. You mean you mean the Shreks with like
Yes,
without
exactly.
ears?
So
Yeah.
and that's where I had to understand. It's like
Shreks
people
without ears.
people
That's a
that were
good
so
one.
devoted to the Star Wars movies, and I'm like, yeah, they were fine, whatever. And I had my brother-in-law is like just devoted, and he was just like, yeah, they're all right, and I'm like, well, they're pretty good actually. But when I went to go watch Ninja Turtles, I went to the first one, and
Well, first off, it was Michael Bay directing it.
Well,
So
and I
what-
know,
what-
and I
what do
knew
you
that was a
expect-
bad. No, I knew it was a bad idea. But I think as I was so devoted, and because a lot of people that didn't like the Star Wars movies, they didn't like Rogue One. They still went to go saw The Force Awakens, knowing that it wasn't going to be up to their expectations because they were just that devoted. And that was my mentality. I'm going to go watch this movie because you know what? There hasn't been a Ninja Turtle movie since 1993. Well,
the good old
Well-
movies where they had suits and that was the golden age.
I
of
still,
movies, right?
Right.
the rewatchable.
That one
yeah.
scene where like you pause it and you can see the guy like looking out of like Donatello's mouth like in the suit.
Oh, that's awesome. But no, and I get that. Well, they're supposed to be rebooting the Turtles too. Also.
yeah.
So,
like
which
the
is gonna be
reboot
hopefully-
of
I'm gonna
it,
reboot
that's-
my beer. You want another one?
Yeah, I can
All right.
go for another
I think
one.
there's only 2 more left in there.
Oh
So
dang it! Blasphemy.
How we gotta get more beers? That's the new struggle. But no, like so, yeah, like I don't know, like for writing now in movies, like they put messages like really on there heavy, and it's like okay, we get it. They want to go with this whole female
social
pres-
commentary.
Yeah, it's like more female presence, make more female heroes.
Well, do you
You
think
know-
that's a good thing?
I think honestly, if written correctly and well structured, yes, it's fine. Honestly, I don't give a damn if the hero is male or female or whatever their
Black,
sexual
white,
orientation. I
Hispanic,
really
gay,
don't.
straight- Yeah.
Like, I
Well-
just want to see the hero go through its struggle. Sure.
You don't want it to be forced, but that's what I feel like it has been.
Yeah,
like they're having to force this diverse cast of individuals into a spot where it may not work perfectly, but for the fact of it being a form of social commentary, and I think that's what the problem that Disney has
Yeah, then they're just going too heavy with it. Like it's like, okay, you can have like, a black cast member, female, trans, and all that. Okay, you can have all those people. We see this with our own eyes. We're able to take in this information ourselves. That we live in this like crock pot of like civilizations.
You
where
mean
we're all-
melting pot?
Yeah, whatever. Food pot. Anyway, so it's like, yeah, we're all like, so there's no racial barriers now and all that. But see, like they want to keep bringing it up and in a way where it's just all like,
I don't know. When you say that, you could run into some dicey territory with some people.
oh no, you're gonna if you have an opinion nowadays, you're gonna run into
How
dicey
dare you have an
territory.
opinion?
Exactly. Shame on you.
the last one?
I think there was only one in there.
Oh, was there? Oh, sorry.
Here, pour some of that into that beer, and then I'll.
This is high school.
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
I wish
split
Jimmy
a
was
beer.
21.
Well, I wasn't anticipating. We didn't drink last time, so I'll try to have that replenished next time.
Right, there you go.
Hey, he
There's
still
your
has a
message.
quarter left in his.
Yeah, like I don't
want
need
to
that
count
much.
towards yours.
But yeah, no. So it's just like when it comes to like the messages that Disney's giving, they really are just trying to go extra hard with the message for monetization purpose.
Okay, well, let's talk about Disney on another aspect. So they
they're
acquired.
the devil.
They. So they
think I got a little
they are Thanos,
Oh.
and they have dropped another Infinity Stone into their gauntlet. So
What? Oh, they own
Fox.
Fox now. Yeah,
That
like, dude, we're gonna be
Don't
owned
they
by.
own ESPN too or something like that now?
yeah, they own ABC, ESPN, Fox. The only thing they don't own is Sony. What else do they? They own
Marvel,
Marvel.
LucasArts.
taking
Star
over,
Wars.
man.
Yeah. So the thing is though, so now that they have a character like Deadpool, what's gonna happen? They've seen how much money they make about
Well,
having an R-rated, and you know
see,
they came
they're-
out with that
they're
PG-13
smart.
version.
They're
so.
smart to realize that he got this huge following, and like because it's Deadpool.
Yeah.
Obscene, crazy, out the window with like a whole bunch of antics and all that. Like standard Deadpool. He's crazy.
Yeah.
And then Merc with the mouth, and they realize that, so they're like, okay, well we can't. We need that, and we're gonna keep letting it happen because it works. And they actually realized and actually cared that it worked. Like usually it's like if it doesn't work or if it does work, but they really just don't give a damn, they'll be like, man, no, cancel it anyway, or change it in a horrible way. And they'll keep that there until someone pisses their pants in rage about some like joke or something like,
Right. Yeah.
like, cause that's what we're dealing with now. It's like people are like, they get
Everybody's
angry.
sensitive, man. God, I hate it.
Yeah, like we're in that cancel culture and all that, and then everyone like back in the day, like when people complained about the most stupidest things, what would we do? We laughed because
Well, but you know why that is though, because the criticism came from, like, I would say the religious people, but nobody really cared too much about what they said. They still kept on doing it. The criticism now is coming for what? The politically correct left. So it's a reversal. In our days, in the 90s, I can remember, and I used to hate this. This is gonna go a little political, but I despised
There goes your
the
political
righteous.
fast.
I know, right? The
Zero to
righteous.
political.
The righteous or the self-righteous political religious right, because they were the ones that were censoring and complaining
Still are.
about everything to a degree, yes, but where do you see it really coming from? Like Dave Chappelle's special,
Okay, well-
who complained about that? Bill Burr and all these other like people that aren't necessarily on the religious right. They're actually on they're more leftist, but because they dare to talk about certain things that are supposedly off limits. I don't believe anything is ever off limits,
No,
Right.
It's really
right?
not.
When you listen to George Carlin, I remember George Carlin's favorite bit about religion and God, and I was like, I'm a theist. I thought that was funny because I could understand that argument, and I didn't bother me. But then you can't talk about certain segments of society or certain topics now that enrage the political progressive left.
What happened to the good old days where if you
No,
don't like
it's-
what I have to
it's
say,
not-
don't
it's
listen
not
to
the
me,
political
right?
Progressive left. It's whoever's whining the loudest and they're willing to give someone a microphone. Now, I'm not saying there isn't reason or grounds to complain about things and
Right.
that are done and said and all that. But at the same time, comedy is a coping mechanism. So when we talk about it or when we joke about something and all that, you have to realize that's like how people, open up. That's how people do things
Right.
and all that. But then you have people
Yeah.
that get angry and they're like, no, I can't. Like, they were the same people that like wanted to ban ice cream soda, like back in like Illinois, like
What the heck?
yeah, that actually
Prohibition.
happened. No,
Yeah.
no,
Soda
literally,
vision.
like literally, there was a, I think it was I can't remember, but it was like one of the things we brought up in religion class back in high school
Wait,
was
religion class in high school?
world religions actually.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What high school did you go to?
Damn, probably a
County.
rich one.
They had
Oh.
that there?
Yeah,
All right.
they did.
Well, we
Well,
had
I mean-
pluribus in our high school.
But yeah, no. So like what they learned about was like there's people that have like certain like power and like groups and all that, and because
Mhm.
like at the time Illinois was really like heavy Christian and all that. There was this one priest at church that said God told him that the idea of combining ice cream and soda was so heinous that it should
What
be
the-
banned. I guarantee.
I could see that happening.
Google,
Yeah. No, no,
Google. Yeah, thanks Google. You own everything. You
Right.
supply
Oh,
us
there's
with
another
everything.
Disney Junior.
No. Google's like Skynet. Like
That's not better.
Google is Skynet. That's how that's gonna go. And Disney's
Uh.
gonna be like not Skynet. What was the other one? You remember? You guys ever watch the Alien movies?
I
Oh,
know
man.
of them.
Whaling
I
Yutani
had when I was little,
Corporation.
but-
Like they're like they own everything. Like that's what.
No.
Oh, okay, man. I'm just. I'm,
No, that's
like,
fine. You're more of a cinephile than me.
I don't even know what that is. Usually, file is a bad thing, or it means like,
Yeah.
like some.
Yeah, right.
Like it's like, hey, you be careful how you throw around that file word. I
Yeah.
feel like
All I said was file your damn cabinet. Yeah, I've
you
been on
got
that
sued.
website. Yeah, I've been there. Picking up what you're putting.
Yeah.
down.
So, but anyways, and I think that's just you're completely right. There is a segment of cancel culture throughout history, but in my mind,
and right now, like you said, like in the beginning, it was the religious right, and now it's
primarily
now it's the liberal, like left side.
progressive.
Well, progressive.
I don't know. Do you consider? I mean, I'd probably. I don't know if it's inappropriate to ask, but what is your political bent, if you even have one?
Honestly, I don't know. It's kind of like a complicated thing that I have to get into, and then it's like, honestly,
And then it goes to like a totally like different direction.
no. It just kind of seems like a nihilist kind of sense. I'm an anarchist in a sense that it is gotten
Okay.
to be so bad, so corrupt, and so fucking just ass backwards
Yeah.
that it needs to collapse. And we actually need to be grown ups and be like, hey, we need to rebuild this. Sure, we could do a 2-party, we could do a 3-party,
Right.
whatever. But it's just,
That's an interesting concept. I wouldn't go that far. I would.
I just want to see the world burn. I mean,
so
like,
you're
yeah.
like what, are you, the Joker?
I mean, I
Speaking on that, you gonna
the
go watch
older,
the movie?
Right.
the older I get, yes, I'm really excited for it. But the older I get, the more like I'm starting to like realize, like, man, some of those villains didn't have like. I work at a grocery store now, and I'm not gonna lie, Thanos is right. We need like a lot less people like.
Dang.
Like I like I'll take that gamble. Like it's like, oh no, grandma's gone now, but so is the family of 12 because someone can't sew up like like a vein in their dongle.
Ugh.
So like they're like, oh, I got
I don't know, but
They're
in our
dumb.
reality,
12 children. Literally, that was a parade to yourself. Like that is just like
Yeah, I know.
like you're trying to make your own church.
that's a
Like,
whole nother topic too. I would like to dive into at one point in nihilism. That's getting into the weeds of real deep philosophical thought. there.
we'll do
Like what?
We'll do
you think you
philosophy
shouldn't
for
have used
another day.
contraceptives and all that?
Oh,
no, you should.
Well,
Like,
and no,
honestly.
the only
believe
reason
so.
why I say that is because I was listening to a couple of talks today. One with Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson, and another one with another. I forgot the lady, but they were basically talking about the same thing, and they were bringing up these ideas of nihilism and personal value and anyways. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole just yet. But anyways, so back to it. Like I said, very interesting conversation. Very different than what we've had before.
Yeah,
and
I like it.
And I'm.
I was getting burned out on all that political shit we were doing, and it's like, yo, man,
Honestly,
politics.
politics is just like a really like complicated thing, and it's everywhere. It's just like
What about-
sport? It's like sports.
Yeah, no,
It's like
Well,
like,
have you heard
who's
of
at
Jesse Ventura?
yeah, I think he had sex with some prostitutes, and he was a wrestler. Yeah, I know Jesse.
Did he have sex? I'm about to look that one up.
Yeah, no, there was this one situation. I guess he went to a whorehouse or something.
Ain't nothing wrong with
Yeah,
How long ago was that?
This is like during like his heavy political like run, or when I think he was like governor. Like,
Yeah, he was governor of Minnesota.
Yeah, I think he did that. Anyway, so
I'm
like,
gonna have to look that up. I don't know
Yeah.
if that's completely accurate. I don't remember hearing that. But
oh no,
my-
he got dragged through it. Like it was something that he did, got caught, and then it was because like oh, he saw a prostitute, and it's all like, yeah, a lot of people do. I mean, but it was like not like he picked up some sketchy like scabies written like
Right.
like thing on the side of the road. No,
Yeah.
he went to like a brothel, which
Yeah.
is like those are professionals. Like
Well,
Yeah.
dude,
You get
he's
your
a
money's
big
worth there.
conspiracy
Yeah.
theory kind of guy.
yeah, I mean,
He was there doing homework
he's-
for his show.
JFK's assassination. They'll
Yeah.
know in here.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's written on the walls in
Speaking
there.
about the JFK assassination, I got a funny one about that.
All right.
Oh shit.
No, wait, hold
How's
on.
it-
Hold on.
That-
Context.
we're going to attempt to
Um,
make the assassination of one of our
yeah.
greatest presidents
Well, I mean, I thought it was mind blowing. Oh,
Oh god, that's good.
anyway,
I like that.
yeah, no, you're looking at someone that wins at Cards Against Humanity. I'm gonna say horrible things.
We
should
should
Oh,
for
invite
points.
you. We put-
Yeah, we should play.
But yeah, no, like when it came to, we had a teacher that his name was Mr. Johnson, which no one like. It was like, okay, that's a normal like teacher sound. Like to me, it sounded too normal.
Yeah, right.
No, here's the thing. It turns out he was batshit insane, and I mean, like,
As a teacher?
no, I mean, like,
As a person?
as a person, he's nuttier than squirrel shit. Like,
Damn.
like he had a extra credit class where he would have students help him try to prove the conspiracy or like a conspiracy
Wow.
in the
That sounds like a
JFK
nice,
assassination.
nice shot-ass class.
Yeah. But here's the thing. He also thought he got so far that the CIA was like monitoring him and like the FBI was following him. So he legally changed his name.
No shit.
And then like he would get really wigged out if anyone brought up CIA or FBI and like it would ask him like, hey, do you think that they're following you or something like that? Like if he saw someone with the earpiece, he freaked the hell
oh,
out.
dude, I would
Like-
be messing with him in class all the time.
Oh yeah, no, like we got to see like firsthand. We're like, yeah, don't bring up like the CIA
No
or
shit.
FBI to them. And then we had this one kid.
When was this? How long ago was this?
God, I don't know. This was back in junior high. That was like what?
Oh, junior high.
7-8 years ago. Like this, yeah.
Because how old are you?
28.
Oh, you're young.
Oh, just a
I
puppy,
know,
man.
right?
Piss don't stink yet.
No, it does.
Well, okay,
if
so
I don't drink water,
well,
I
no,
just-
I think that that was my whole point.
Why does mine
because,
smell like asparagus? I haven't even ate asparagus.
you know,
I
because
always wonder why I fart and I smell eggs, and I haven't had eggs in weeks. I'm like,
mine smells like beer. I swear. The next day when I'm out partying hard, it smells like beer and cigarettes. Like
you're
what the
man,
fuck?
man, you're more beer than man at some
I think
point.
think
Like,
so. You know,
that's
for-
your superpower.
He-
I don't know
he-
how useful that is.
He thought I was bullshitting because I'd come to work. Man, I did it again. I hung over again. You can't drink that much. Bullshit.
Yeah.
You don't know,
Brother.
So, anyways, back to my little tangent here. But the reason why I brought up Jesse Ventura and the whole conspiracy theories thing, because he talks about like everything that you see in front of you when it comes to politics, the Republicans and the Democrats, it's like wrestling. They're mortal enemies in front of the
Ironic,
cameras.
right?
behind- but
the,
yeah.
behind the
the
closed-
former wrestler is using a wrestling analogy.
But
Yeah, right.
when he ran as governor, he didn't run as a Republican or a Democrat. I think he was the first one in the state to run as a third party independent and won.
Yeah, really rare because both parties don't like that because they like it to either be one or the other. If there's like a third option or multiple options, it really shows that they don't have that much power,
Yeah,
and that's why
yeah.
they're so threatened by the idea of someone can go independent, third party, Green Party.
Yeah.
What I don't know all the parties.
No, but here's what's interesting is
There's too
because
many parties.
after he won his election, he remembered that he was summoned to the basement of the governor's mansion or wherever they're in Capitol in Minnesota.
All right, I feel like this is gonna go like on like one of those like and there
Wait,
there was the ritualistic goat head that he must wear
Yeah.
and have sex with a virgin and be sworn into
I
the
need to
skull
be
and
governor.
bones or something like that.
Yeah.
like
There was a big owl on fire. And
yeah, like that kind of crazy conspiracy stuff. Like,
Well, no, what had happened though is he was summoned to the Capitol or whatever, and sitting in the room was a couple of guys in suits. He sat down and they talked to him, and then they started talking to him, and he was unaware of who they were. So he asked, "Who are you guys?" He said, "Oh, well, we're from the CIA," and he was just like, "Wait a minute, you guys are not supposed to be functioning and in gathering intelligence within the United States. You are supposed to be out. You're not supposed. Why are you here?" And they didn't really answer his questions. But afterwards, he called one of his buddies, who was a former Navy SEAL and does a lot of stuff with the government. And he basically said that he was told that the CIA they're nervous. They're wondering if what you did was a fluke or if it's a real movement.
oh shit.
Yeah.
Because having somebody as high profile as you not running with in the circle of what normalcy is, they're afraid you scared them.
Exactly. He terrified the norm, and that's why he got buried under a lot of political stuff, aka that one prostitution thing.
I'm gonna have to look that up. I don't know.
Google it.
I haven't
Jesse
seen-
Ventura whorehouse.
I'm gonna go. Continue. I'm gonna
But
look
yeah,
at
no,
it right
like
now.
yeah, because like it's like we live in a government system where it's like two-party controlled.
Yes,
you know?
which I completely disagree. I'm not a Republican. I'm an independent. Like for the last couple of years, I actually voted Libertarian. Or the last couple of elections, I voted Libertarian, and I registered as a Libertarian because my whole focus was I didn't agree 100% with the Libertarian Party, but I wanted to change.
Yeah, no,
There's two parties. There has to be something.
There has to be a change. Something has to like because it's both of them are. It's not working. And like it's basically what like one party that's controlled by this side of corrupt corporations that like are puppeting and pulling the strings because unfortunately all the like
Right.
running and all that means you need money.
I found a video on YouTube that says Nevada's brothels love Obamacare. Go figure, right?
Right.
Free abortions for everybody.
Yeah. Or like like STD screens and all that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You
What
know,
about
they're
groups like Antifa?
Antifa. Well, if you
Because they're all about. I mean, when you see reports, I mean, it could be biased reporting, but
so there is biased reporting, yeah. And Antifa like ideology, I believe, or what one told me was that they do not like that corporations and large businesses and all that like can strip humanity for its value, and like it's like okay, so they're allowed to do like take water rights and all that without paying for it because that's fine, it goes unchecked. So they're like, fuck you, let's destroy property. But at the same time, it's like they're just gonna spin it to make it look like you're a bunch of thugs wanting to break shit and not actually give you the message that you're trying to get through. And then every time they try to go and not investigate, interview someone, it's always the mouth breather that's like covered in a whole bunch, like has like the anonymous mask and all that, and he doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. So of course everyone's like, oh, that's what they're they're
well,
like
yeah,
and all
that's the sensational side of it, and that's what's going to get highlighted.
Right.
But
Exactly.
But the tactics that are taken,
Sorry about
it's not just a random thing. It seems like that's baked into the cake, so to speak.
It is.
You know what I mean?
I
So-
mean, it's
And that's I don't think that's palatable.
It's not. I mean, it's.
Do you guys want to hear Jesse's Ventura view on prostitution?
Play it.
For the first one, legalized prostitution. Big idea or bad idea?
I've done them all. Sexual acts between consenting adults are totally legal, right?
And you
Totally legal. So the only thing that's illegal about prostitution is the exchange of money. Well,
Right,
let's
that's true,
tax
man,
it.
That's true.
We're $9 trillion in debt
Tax
right
'em.
now is the national debt. Well,
Well, okay, so
That-
I
there's
have
a
a
lot of-
very, I have a very,
Go ahead.
see, and the libertarian side would agree with that. No, he's not a libertarian, but libertarians would agree with that because they see it as the only thing that makes it illegal is the exchange of money. That's it. The fact that you
the only thing that makes it illegal is because there's not a like. In a sense, they can't tax it or collect money for the government itself in
They
a
could- yeah.
sense. But
but
if
they could.
actually, yeah,
No, but
exactly.
they could.
They
Broth
can.
is done in Vegas. It's
and
done
in Canada.
And, yeah.
Prostitution is legal. Like they have to go through screening.
Well,
all that
look
kind
about
of stuff.
with marijuana. They could do the same thing with marijuana. If they were to allow the full legalization, take marijuana off the Schedule 1 drug list in the
Which is
federal
weird.
level.
Crack is not even a Schedule 1 drug or
It's not?
heroin. No.
I gotta look at that.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
like,
it's,
well, no,
it's not. It's a Schedule 2.
Well, but my
Marijuana is
point-
above that because
Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
gateway
yeah.
drug.
Exactly.
But the
yeah,
reason
no,
why
it's
though
not.
is people can grow if they legalize marijuana across the board,
Well,
they could just grow it in
if
the
they
yard.
legalize it, they also have to go back through all the arrests
yeah,
and
they got to
imprisonment
expunge
that, yeah,
all those records.
and they don't want to do that because the thing is, our infrastructure is built on two major complexes, and that is either the military complex or the prison complex. And the prison complex, while they're complaining about how like they're overpopulating
Yeah.
it with all that,
Right.
Yep.
and then you find out what they do, like you can say like you have your own political views and all that, but John Oliver actually had this great article about the prison complex and all that, and how
Yeah.
they will destroy your life. Like they'll you'll go to court and you'll fight it, and they'll be like, hey, take this lesser plea deal. And then here's the thing: when you take that lesser plea deal, then you're a felon still,
yep.
and you don't get to vote. And then like
all
you
it
know-
does is it lessens your time, but
Yeah.
it destroys your life just the same.
exactly.
And I think I think not just prison reform. I think criminal justice reform needs to completely switch. I think the way that we've done things, and when you look at like for instance the 13th Amendment, the amendment that abolished slavery, but yet when you're in
the
prison,
in the fine text, it says slavery is abolished unless it is in a form of imprisonment and punishment.
For criminal
Yeah.
criminal
Oh, no
offenses.
shit. I didn't know that.
literally,
yeah.
literally like
So
dang.
that's why they can force them to work, like the chain gangs and all that back
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
olden days.
They still have
factory
those.
jobs.
Well, yeah, I know, but they would force them, and they could pay them next to nothing because of under the 13th Amendment. Still,
They can use them as
Yeah, I remember my dad
firefighter
used to make
squad-
like 3 cents a day.
They can
or
use
something in prison.
prisoners as firefighter squads.
yeah,
and,
and
then
they do.
And,
Here in
yeah,
California,
they do. And then they risk their lives, but not only that, they learn a skill to quote better their life because they're fighting fires and all that,
Yep.
and they are not allowed to use that skill to apply for a job outside of it because they
Because they're
are
a felon.
a felon.
And that's where
Damn,
change
that's
needs to
hard.
happen.
And
So it's basically
it keeps them in a state where they can, no matter what.
Is that why there's always
the thing
quote
is, though,
unquote repeat?
well,
you know,
yeah,
always
well,
going
okay,
back
but I'm
into
gonna tell you
prison.
right
and-
now,
That's really it.
This is the. I mean, here we get political again, but this is like a problem I have with like our local politicians. So it's like that's a simple, easy fix. We
It
could
is.
correct those things. The only thing, like drug, like what's very libertarian is they also want to they take away, legalize all drugs. I don't agree with that necessarily because that broadens the things, but you could at least for the extent of like marijuana. The only reason why people should be in jail is for, let's say, violent offenses. Non-violent offenses, there's other ways we can do this.
Yeah, there's other forms like instead of just
Counseling
like
or something,
No,
right?
no, like
Well, no, yeah, because
like probationary things instead of just like destroying someone's life and now they're a felon because of this
Yeah.
reason or something like that. They could
Definitely.
actually like a lot of people are saying shame works a lot better than like
like they do back in the day, wear the sandwich board. That,
something
Oh,
like
shit.
Put
something
'em in a
like that
stock
like
in,
yeah like
now
because-
they're ear to a post. And,
yeah and
you're free as soon as you
Well,
rip
okay,
yourself out.
here's my biggest thing though too though. A lot of what I think is missing, especially when you look at nowadays, for some reason, and it may be true of the past, I don't know, but it seems like for me, it seems like mental health does play a lot of. That doesn't mean that somebody is mentally like disabled. It just realize that a lot of people react to the things that are
Right.
around them, and then instead of really addressing how people react, we just want to punish them for their reaction instead of realizing, well, they people a lot of the time
we
people
have
aren't
a-
trained.
we
We're
have
not,
a
we're not
thousand-
developed.
we have 1,000 ways to punish someone for something, but when it comes to rehabilitating them or like something like that, it's almost non-existent.
Yep, that is completely
Because
true.
it's easier to punish and exploit from that
Right,
point on
right.
instead of actually helping a member of society be like, hey, you fucked up here, don't do that, and in that process you can like learn something new and then use it to better yourself and all that. But no, it like discriminates against them and it like makes the struggle more. So like you said previously, there's the people that go into the whole like relapse and are like, oh, I can't
Yeah.
get out of the prison life and all that because that is a conditioning.
yeah.
And they want that. They want the bodies to stay in there. They want the factory. And it goes into the political thing. If you research your senators, if you research your lawmakers, if you research lobbyists, which I don't think lobbyists should even exist. I mean, but that's
That's a whole nother tangent.
that's a whole nother
Yeah.
thing. But if you actually research them, where they're actually invested in, you'll see them that they have investments in prison complexes or in
Yeah.
manufacturing deals with like weapons or companies that have like Nestle. Stuff that's like, hey, like, why is my hair falling out now? It's like,
Right.
well, your senator took money from that company that's pouring sludge in your water.
Yeah,
So
right.
definitely.
but a lot of people don't look at that, and then it's like, and then they still like elect these people, or they don't think like, hey, we can get this person out. I mean, yeah, sure, no matter what, these corporations and all that will have money to be like, hey, you're the new one. But if we keep it in rotation, it makes it difficult for them to, actually get that hold. But when we have like senators, lawmakers, and all that, where they can be in office until they literally die,
Yep.
and
Yeah,
We need
right.
term limits on
there is a senator, I believe, that he is completely gone mentally. Like he has been like they've caught him sleeping. He's not like he's like almost like I think he's almost 90 years old.
Well,
He's
yeah,
senile
it's the
as-
same.
Nice.
It's the same thing with the Supreme Court. I mean, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I mean, she's basically Skeletor at this point. But anyways, like on that note, it's coming down to the end of our time. We touched on a lot of great things. This has been a really
I
good
think
talk.
this is
Well,
the
I
start
feel,
of something
I
good.
feel like it was like it started as something light, then it drifted into the political.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
We
tell
keep
you,
it-
always-
we-
welcome to the TAP.
It
That's how
always-
it happens.
it
Okay,
always
okay,
goes that
okay.
way
I think we should just like make it to where it's like, okay, if we're gonna go political, we have to like get an egg timer and be like 10 minutes. That's it, and then we have to go right back to another subject
Yeah.
because
But
like
anyways,
We
Yeah.
should do that.
Okay, but
Well,
anyway,
eventually
so
we're gonna start going live so we can see people's posts. Hey, talk about this.
Oh, I'm not looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just giving you death threats and all that.
Yeah, no shit.
it's fine. Anyway, so thanks for joining us today on the TAP. I'm your boy Sorev. I'm here with Play B and our special guest Ryan. Ryan, thanks.
Hey, no problem. I had fun.
We're gonna bring him back on. This is an interesting talk.
Oh yeah, no, I still haven't given you the story about the peanut butter guy.
Okay, we're going to talk about that next time.
man.
Well, anyways, thanks for joining in. This has been the TAP, the Apocalypse Project.
Peace.